O'Connell.
Okay.
Well, this morning we are getting the mood of Main Street by looking at the state of the American dream. In his 1931 book, Epic of America, historian James Truslow Adams said the American dream is one of a land in which life should be better, richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement. The post-World War II American dream was a house with a picket fence and a car in the driveway, all earned with hard work at a job that you held for decades. That ideal has likely changed as our economy and our society has changed, or has it? To answer, I'm joined by Ben Ferguson. He's host of The Ben Ferguson Show and author of It's My America Too. Leading young conservative shares his views on politics and other matters of importance. And Thomas Woods, author of Meltdown, a free market look at why the stock market collapsed, the economy tanked, and the government bailouts will make things worse. And Grover Norquist, the president of Americans for Tax Reform and one-time advisor to former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be with you.
So let's start out by talking a little bit about the American dream and how it has evolved over the past 50 years. Ben, let's start with you. Is it alive and well?
No, I think it's dying, and I think this administration is doing a great job of letting people know that the American dream you can no longer obtain on your own merit. I think what you're looking at is this president, when he ran, he said, I'm going to be your everything. I'm going to give you everything you need. You cannot make it on your own. And what we've seen now with the bailout, what we've seen now with this budget that he's giving us is he's saying to people, you cannot make it on your own. You can't get your own house. I'm going to have to give it to you. I mean, even in his address to the nation the night at the press conference, he now says that a tax break is being able to refinance your house. I mean, I literally wanted to throw noodles at the screen because I'm sitting there going, when did you being able to do something on your own become a thank you to something that you owe to the government or the President of the United States of America? So no, I'm very concerned about the American dream because I want to know I can make it on my own merit. I want to know if I work hard and pay my taxes that I don't have to worry about the government telling me how much I can or cannot make and that I can't do it all on my own.
Thomas, what do you think?
Well, I think the American dream could come back if the government and the Federal Reserve System would get out of the way. It was the Fed that gave us this phony boom of the past however many years. It's Ben Bernanke and Alan Greenspan and their half-baked monetary theories that are largely responsible for what's happened. And the fact is that, look, Americans have been told that hard work and entrepreneurial skill are what gets you ahead, but in fact now they're finding out that if you're some incompetent boob who happens to have Washington connections, that's how you get ahead. And beyond that, the federal government and the Fed, with their bailouts and stimulus packages, they are destroying people's dreams. They are destroying people's futures. And now we're going to have to sit back and endure the indignity of all these clueless people running our economic policy, now coming out with an endless stream of books telling us that the solution to all this is to give more power to our overlords. And it was to, frankly, head these people off at the pass and give the free market overview of what's happened to us that I wrote the book Meltdown.
All right, Grover, let me give you a chance to weigh in before I give my thoughts on this. But Grover, go ahead.
Look, the American dream isn't from the last 50 years. It's from the Constitution. It's from the founding of the country. It's a rejection that the king or the lord decides who and what you are and what property you're allowed to farm. I mean, it's not a car and a house. 200 years ago, it was horses and a farm. So what it is that you are in charge of your own life and making what you wanted to out of it. And what the government is trying to do is make these decisions and put them back in the hands of the king. Obama's handing out goodies, and then you're supposed to thank him rather than have your family look to you as the provider for actual improvement in your own life. Obama wants to be the overlord.
Okay, but Thomas, let me go back to you on this because there are going to be a lot of people at home who are participating in this live web chat today who are going to agree with a lot of the things that you guys are saying because they're angry, they're frustrated. Unemployment claims, we're seeing weekly claims at the highest levels that we've seen in history in terms of getting access to benefits from the government. On the other hand, there are going to be people who say, wait a second, It isn't about this administration. The American dream has been dying for years and years and years. When things like the Community Reinvestment Act were created, you know, there were initiatives put in place over the past couple of decades that suggested that the American dream was rooted in material items as opposed to coming home and sitting at the dinner table with your kids. I mean, I assume that a lot of people in this country have different definitions of what the American dream really is.
Right. The American dream suddenly morphed into the idea that every single human being has to own a home. It doesn't always make sense for everybody to own a home. You're not throwing your money away renting. It makes perfect sense to rent half the time. So you're right. What we've had is this morphing of the American dream into the idea that you should have all these material things. They should all be debt financed. You should have a big fancy house, a big fancy car, take exotic vacations, and have $2,000 in the bank. My friend Karen DeCoster calls this the 2,000-aire. You know, not a millionaire, 2,000-aire. One disaster wipes this person out. This is the type of debt finance model that has been pushed on people for years. And again, thanks to this phony baloney easy money policy of the Federal Reserve. They deserve, it's not just the federal government and its Community Reinvestment Act and all these crazy policies. If it weren't for the Fed creating all the money, you wouldn't have gotten a housing bubble. You wouldn't have had all this discombobulation of the market. So people are basically fighting against what the government is doing to them, all the false signals they're sending. People are trying to be responsible, but there are no incentives to save. The incentives are to blow all your money now because we're going to be destroying the dollar tomorrow.
And I think,
Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is you look at this last election, you look at this administration, they made a bet that there were more lazy people in America than there were people that wanted to make it on their own merit. And the bet paid off. They literally ran a campaign on, I will give you everything. I'll give you housing.
Ben, you know,